Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the August Tridium Talk. We're going to be going through today a content spotlight for marketplace content. So my name is Bob Neubaum. I am the offering manager for the Niagara Marketplace. For those that don't know, the marketplace relaunched in April with the capability of commerce. So the new direction for the marketplace is the ability to discover new content, just drivers, UX tools, and other things, purchase it and consume it all from the marketplace. Today I have two of our partners, One Sightsolutions as well as NiagaraMods, that will be presenting their marketplace content. So from One Sightsolutions, we have Tom Stevens, who's a technical director, and he'll be presenting in the OSS Easy API content. And Adam Bergman from NiagaraMods will be presenting Reflow. Just a little bit about the Niagara Marketplace. Again, as I mentioned, we relaunched in April of this year, a few months ago. With the specific intent of enabling our developers to create storefronts to reach our community. From the marketplace, we allows robust search features for our buyers and to find all the content that they need. Content licensing is directly done through the marketplace. So any software you purchase can be licensed regardless of the licensing platform on the other end. We are directly integrated with Niagara licensing for those sellers that use the Niagara licensing platform. Also, we've just introduced try and buy capabilities, which give our users the ability to, before completing a purchase, it gives them the ability to do a 7-day trial license with the content. So when the content at checkout, the user would provide their host ID for whatever station they're testing with, and that trial license will be created. A 7-day license will be created at checkout. You'll receive a couple of emails reminding you that you are on a 7-day try and buy. At the end of the 7 days, if you choose not to cancel, the purchase will complete and it will end up in your software center within the marketplace, where you'll be able to go and apply whichever host ID you'd like to use in the end. So that all this content can be found through the filter on the marketplace. So if you go to the Niagara Marketplace and you just choose all products or featured products, whatever, you get to this filter list on the left, and you can just choose free trial available, and it will show you the content that's currently available with the free trial. So that's, and we are having updates on a monthly basis. So I would encourage many of you, I'm sure, are already on the Niagara or the Tridium email list, but if you know of anyone that's not, I would encourage you to encourage them to sign up for that list. So to begin here, I'm going to introduce Tom from One Sightsolutions. One Sight was one of our early partners with the marketplace, and they have got a few pieces of content. The one they're going to be highlighting today is the OSS Easy API. So with that, Tom, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Tom here. I'm the technical director at One Sightsolutions. Hopefully you can all see my screen. I believe you can. So many thanks, Bob, for introducing the renewed and relaunched marketplace. I'm going to give you a bit of a brief overview, high-level overview of our driver that we've got on there at the moment called OSS Easy API. So I suppose I should probably start just by giving you a bit of a background on APIs in general. In my experience, I find that APIs, REST APIs, HTTP, etc., it's quite new territory for the traditional building space and integration building control space. So what is a REST API or a HTTP? In a nutshell, it's a software-friendly way for machines to communicate using a standardized set of commands across a known protocol. In this case, it's HTTP or HTTPS, same protocol we use to browse the internet, etc. There's another piece of technology that some of you have probably heard of or been familiar with at some point in time as well, JSON, JSON. That defines a format or a data structure over which data may be transmitted using a HTTP or REST API. It looks something like this. So moving on to Easy API specifically, what is it? It's a client API driver or an API client driver for Tridium Niagara 4. And what we set out to do when we built it a number of years ago, and we actually had a specific integration challenge to overcome. One particular system that we needed to interface with that couldn't be done with off-the-shelf drivers, BATnet, Modbus, etc. However, rather than approaching that integration in a specific manner, developing a bespoke driver against a closed source protocol, we realized that the destination system had available a REST API, and it was well documented. However, at the time, nothing existed in Niagara to allow you to interface with a remote HTTP-based API. So we went to work and we've put together this module, which essentially consists of standard Niagara components, blocks that you'll all be familiar with. And you can construct standard HTTP commands with it, get, post, push, etc. I can just bring up Workbench here quickly. I'm not going to go through building an API conversation specifically, but OSS API is distributed in the form of a jar module. It's added in, you can open up the palette and you'll get access to a few components in familiar format. And essentially, the core of all of this is an API request. And we were to take a look at one. You see it allows you to build a HTTP command with a URL, parameters, header options, and you can bring back the response, which in this case is a token for authentication. Again, referring to get, post, put, and delete commands there, any credentials, supports all modern authentication mechanisms, bearer tokens, basic auth, OAuth, etc. We also include some other tools in here to help you decode and handle JSON, build URLs, etc. So I suppose getting to the point, what can you do with a tool like OSS Easy API? I suppose the answer to that question is pretty much anything you want. I mean, just looking over the front page of our website here, we've got a few examples of things we've done in the past with it, and some examples of integrations our customers have made. But just to reel through this list, pulling in non-building specific information into Niagara is what we typically find the use case for a driver like this. News and weather information, IoT sensor systems such as LoRaWAN, might be vendor cloud-based air quality monitoring systems such as Airthings, Katera, etc. Car parking management, third-party room booking systems that feed into a vendor cloud, people counting desk occupancy, CAFM, facilities management systems, etc. CRM integration, Office 365, you name it. This is designed as a universal tool for you to integrate with systems that support a HTTP REST API. I've got a couple of examples to show you. Move that out of the way. So here's a typical Niagara dashboard. You see here, for example, this is air quality information coming from a Airthings cloud-based air quality management solution. So these sensors communicate via a hub up to the vendor's cloud, and the vendor publishes a API, which we have interfaced with using OSS Easy API and expose the points from the sensors as standard Niagara points, which can be used just like you would any other point. Some other examples, transport for London. So maybe you might want to enhance the occupant experience in your building. Might want to provide some traffic and travel information, London tube statuses. Car parking, for example. Again, this is all coming into Niagara via a REST API from the Transport for London website. Another example we can take a look at. We have a custom uplighting system in our offices here, WLED, if anyone's ever heard of it. You interface with that using an API, again, documented. So by interfacing with it using OSS Easy API, we can expose the various values and options as points in Niagara. Obviously, can provide some command and control functionality through a dashboard such as this. Another cool thing we've done with it, we take some floor plans here. We've got some multi-sensors here. These happen to be LoRaWAN sensors. So they're feeding into a combination of the technology called Chirp Stack or the Things Network. Both of those services have an API. In order to get that data then back into Niagara, we've used OSS Easy API and interface with it, brought them back in and exposed the values as Niagara points. Another typical use case we found with our customers. If we were to, first of all, might be desk occupancy. So a third-party desk sensing solution reports its sensor data directly into the cloud. Integration option is a documented API again. So once again, utilizing Easy API with that single component, the API request component, we can construct our commands, authenticate against the API, bring back our list of desk sensors, and then break out the points. It looks something along the lines of this. I'll just expand this out. For example, you see our API call here that's bringing back our list of devices. And another pretty cool feature of Easy API is it does attempt to parse JSON responses for you. By parse, I mean break out and get at the data you're actually interested in rather than just giving you a big block of JSON data. So here we've broken out a list of devices automatically that exist on our Things account. You can see the different values associated with each sensor. So I suppose just before I close off, when we're dealing with APIs and everything like that, this technology is not like BACnet or Modbus, where it's a very well-defined protocol. All BACnet is the same if it's true to the standard and the specification. APIs can be extremely varied. So the key to it is documentation. Luckily enough, the documentation on how to use Easy API is all online, kept up to date for you. Plenty of examples. I'm going to shamelessly plug our YouTube channel as well. One Side TV, where we publish videos on specific examples and take you through the steps. One on using OSS Easy API to generate alarms into Teams, for example. That's how to get air things into it, bring in weather data using the Open Weather Service, etc. All documentation available like that. And so long as a system you need to interface to supports a HTTP-based API, the API is well documented, there's a fair chance that you're going to be able to use OSS Easy API to interface with it and ascend your building system with non-building centric data or data from an IoT style system. And there you have it. So on that note, I'm going to pass you back to Bob. I can bring up the control.
One quick question, is that documentation available is it just open? Can they just go to your website and view the documentation?
Yeah, absolutely. So traditionally we distributed the user guides and the documentation within the software downloads. We've just moved to an online-based documentation system. So the public, without registration, can have access to the document at all times. I suppose it's a good idea to mention we've always offer trial licenses anyway, but now through the marketplace, you can literally automatically get your trial, have a go integrating with the system you need to interface with, and then then take it from there.
Yeah, perfect.
Back over to you,
Excellent.
Bob.
Thanks very much, Tom. I appreciate it. I'm just going to grab the screen back. So it's excellent. Appreciate the quick demo and the overview of the driver. So with that, I'm going to introduce NiagaraMods, who's going to go through their Reflow product that is again on the marketplace and available for trial. So Adam, I'm just going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Bob. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. It's a pleasure to join everyone today. Happy to talk about the marketplace and Reflow. Just a quick introduction. I'm Adam. I'm one of the founders of NiagaraMods. I've been developing software on the Niagara platform since the mid-2000s, around 3.2, 3.1 is when I sort of got my feet wet in the system. So really excited to share Reflow with you today. Want to talk a little bit about the problem that Reflow tries to solve and some of the benefits that you can expect when you pull Reflow in. So we're in this changing and evolving landscape when it comes to user interfaces and customers and their expectations around those user interfaces. So we've got building owners and operators who are used to a certain level of sophistication, and that expectation is growing more and more as time passes on. We've got people using mobile apps like Instagram, Facebook, online banking, stock trading applications that have a really slick UI that work on their phone and that are developed by large not only development teams, but also designers and user experience focused individuals. And then they sort of come to their building automation system, which could be quite expensive. And they're often confronted with a user experience that just doesn't quite measure up to their expectations. And part of that problem is because our industry has put a lot on the shoulders of system integrators. We know that they're amazing engineers, and Niagara is the best engineering tool out there. However, when it comes to user interface and all of the things, including things like APIs that Tom walked through, we're now expecting a system integrator to now not only wear their integrator hat and their customer service hat, but now they need to wear their IT hat and their web developer hat and their graphic designer hat and user experience architect hat. It's too many hats to wear. And so what we've tried to do with Reflow is to provide a very simple solution to get modern graphics to end users. And at the same time, instead of this process taking longer and adding labor to jobs, what we want to do is make it shorter and faster and easier than using Niagara out of the box. We always say we're sort of like the Squarespace or the Wix for building automation. The idea would be you don't have to know what HTML even means to jump in and start creating content in Reflow. So I'm going to jump over to our website here. I've got a few live demos available, and these are accessible publicly if you want to go in and play around with them after the webinar today. When you click on them, you'll be brought to a web supervisor that we have in the cloud. Your login information will be filled in for you. Just hit login. And we're going to go through some of the end user features of Reflow here. We've got 3 examples. When we say end users, typically we're referring to building owners, facility managers, building operators, maintenance staff, so on. So the people that are consuming the building automation system. So we'll start here. This is a quick example of a building website that spans across a campus. So we've got 3 buildings. Here's a dashboard roll up. This is your landing page. And sorry about that, I'm having a little glitch on my display here. With these cards, you can really pull all sorts of information in. In this case, we've got some maps built in that's pulling up buildings, and those buildings are clickable, and you can click to each building. We've got a ton of built-in cards that allow you to display information like gauges, histories, custom points, tables, all of that with a really easy to build an easy to use user interface. When I click into buildings here, a little bit of an issue here with Chrome. I'm just going to restart it. Sorry about that. Okay, much better. So I can click into different buildings and access a building-based dashboard. You see that loading in here. And from there, I can access alarms, schedules, floors, and equipment for those buildings. Now, what's really cool about this is Reflow does a lot of this stuff for you automatically. For instance, if I pull open an alarms console, Reflow is going to pull in, I'll go to the global one, maybe we'll have a few up here. Reflow is going to pull in all of this stuff for you automatically, and we'll see those come in here. Same thing with histories. So Reflow is going to parse your station, and it's going to pull all of your histories to the front, and users can search. I'll just type in AC01 and access those histories and view them very easily. Reflow also has a floor plan builder. So I can go into floors here. And you can see that we've got some labels and some zones. Floors are interactive, you can zoom. And then the other thing, we mentioned multiple screens. So I want to bring over an iPhone simulator here and pull up the same demo and just show you what the mobile experience is. So here we'll launch this Reflow University. Here you can see my dashboard moves to a single column. All my cards are available. My menu and navigation at the top has moved to, we call this the hamburger menu, standard mobile navigation. When I jump into a building, and we'll go to the same admin building, the first floor here, just swiping down. You can see that we provide a different experience for users when they're in mobile. And this is all done automatically. What we're doing is we're pulling this data up to the front. So that way, when a user is mobile, when they're walking through a hallway, they get the most important data right in front of them immediately. Now, we know mobile users still may want to see this map, and they may want to pinch and zoom. So all they have to do is rotate their device, and now they got the full map available to them. Other areas where we do some really cool things with mobile, on your alarm records, things like that. We'll take a table and move it to cards. So really customizing the experience to users based on what screen size they're on. And this requires no responsive panes, no additional thought from a system integrator. All of this stuff just sort of works out of the box. Quickly now, I'm going to jump to a station that I have running locally. It is, just log in here. So this is running on my computer. So no real equipment or anything connected in, but I just want to give you a quick example of how things are configured and what Reflow is going to look like out of the box when you get started. So this is the Reflow view, very similar to the view that we were looking at earlier. Here's that example of alarms pulling in the alarms console. All this again comes in automatically. I also have the config view available here. And when you connect to Reflow in the config view, you're going to get a preview of what your end users will see, but then you'll have this panel over here to make changes. And I just want to show you quickly how easy it is to start to customize Reflow. So we'll just sort of start rebuilding the Reflow University site here. You can see that as I'm making changes on the left, it updates automatically in the right. Things like setting global color scheme. So let's, we'll just grab this sort of darker blue here and set a secondary color of maybe this red. You can see that Reflow instantly changes the color and applies that color across your entire experience. And so let me just switch these hover colors out here. And now when I go to something like the alarms page, you can see my highlight is my hover color. When I select items, the primary and secondary colors are pulled through the entire experience. we'll also quickly set a logo. Reflow leverages Niagara for everything. So things like file system and histories, alarms, schedules, all of that comes natively from Niagara. So this image just lives on my station file system. Reflow has access to it, and I can set it up there. Last thing I'll do is I'll just set a background image. We call this the hero. This is a way to brand your site and really make it feel like your customer's website. The customer now just has their building automation system that is completely customized for them. They don't even really need to, if they're non-technical, they don't even need to understand that this is coming from Niagara. I'll grab this here, and then it's a little light, so I'm just going to add a quick tint to the image. And there we go. So you can see how quickly it was for me to brand the site. And then of course I can come in and do things like add dashboard cards, equipment, additional buildings, so on and so forth. I'll add just a quick point card here. Here's our list of built-in cards. I'm going to pick a Niagara point card. I can pick any point from my station. I can add actions if I want. We'll just call this lobby space temperature. This is on a ramp. I hope that's not the real temperature in a lobby somewhere. I'm going to give it an icon. Reflow has almost 2,000 icons in 3 different weights for you to pick from. Searchable, categorized to make it easy to find what you need. Maybe we change the color over to our secondary. And then I can just apply a background image. And this is the type of design, sophisticated design that you can get with Reflow. Doing something small like taking an interior shot of a building or even an exterior one. Let's see, I've got some interior shots here. Let's say putting in the lobby and just maybe fading it out a little bit. But what this is going to allow you to do is really give the user some context. So the user walks into that space every day. They know that that's their lobby. And they know you could probably, erase lobby from here because the user is very aware and gets those contextual clues, which is really important in good user experience. Last thing I'll show you here on the config side, there's tons to explore here, but one of the really cool features of Reflow is our floor plan editor. So I've got a building here with 3 floors. I'll go into the first floor and I'll click on the floor plan builder. This is a sort of like a canvas for you to work in, similar to what you would see in the PX editor, but we've added some additional Reflow related features. One of those is those create labels for 4 devices. So my building, the first floor has 3 VAVs and an air handler assigned to it. Reflow will automatically create and link those labels up for me. So now I just need to sort of put my VAVs into place and move my air handler label over here, maybe add some room names if I'd like. I can also do that in Reflow and those will come in automatically. And you can see that now points are linked. And if I jump out here, you can see that when I click on a VAV, we get to the equipment graphic. Now, equipment graphics in Reflow, Reflow is providing these point cards here. And you can see there, you can click on them to take actions. If points have a history associated with them, you can get directly to that history from the point card. And then you can also embed either a static image or a PX graphic over here on the left, or you can even make it stretch full screen as well. So Reflow is providing that modern user experience. And I see that that's one of the questions. You can absolutely embed PX files almost anywhere in Reflow. If the sharp-eyed in the group would have noticed Tom's demo was he actually used Reflow and embedded a PX file using Easy API to pull in some data. And you can do that in a couple different ways. One of the ways is you can add what we call an HX card. And so here I can just add a dashboard card, pick any view from Niagara that's going to work on the web. So I'll just grab, say, this property sheet for my points folder, and there's the full actionable Niagara property sheet embedded right into Reflow. So yeah, completely possible to do that. Here's maybe a better example. I've got sort of a very crude PX floor plan on this folder, and that pulls in and gets the auto size to the card. Of course, you can change the card width and height to show a little more data, and doing things like moving cards around, just drag. And then notice your dashboard flows perfectly. And then as I move into mobile, another feature of config, I can preview in mobile. You can see that auto size down, and my other cards are full column. Here's what it would look like on tablet, and here's what it would look like on desktop. And again, I didn't put any thought into that layout, how it flows. Reflow is just going to take care of all that for me. You can also embed PX files as custom pages, and as I mentioned earlier, as a part of equipment. One other quick thing on the equipment side, if I go to VAVs, here you can see all the VAVs I brought into Reflow. We display these nice cards with a featured point. We try to give power to end users. So while I'm showing the featured point that an integrator selected, an end user can go up and choose any point associated with their VAVs and compare across devices. Better yet, if they want to do multiple points, they can look at table view. And now we pull in many columns here of points, and the user can still customize this to see what they need. So the idea here is to prevent rework and prevent an integrator from having to go back to a job, edit 10 PX files with 50 devices each to add another column because a stakeholder changed or wanted to see some new important data as a part of their equipment. I'll jump back, and one more thing in equipment, we'll look at an air handler. Reflow, you can link devices. Some devices can serve other devices, and you can see that this air handler on the first floor serves my 3 VAVs, and you can see those at the bottom of the screen here. And now I can quickly get to VAV1. I can see that it's served by air handler 1 and get back. Here's a great example of an override on how we display status. And I just want to show you what an equipment graphic looks like in mobile. Notice that you're interacting with these cards the same way in mobile as you would in desktop. So training users, consistency across is really easy to maintain for not only for system integrators, but also for your end users. And that's really important when you think about a good user experience. Documentation is built into the tool. So if you click on documentation and help, you'll get to our online documentation, pretty comprehensive. It's also available linked from the marketplace and from our website. If I just pull that back up again on the Reflow page, just look down here under resources and click on documentations. Real quick, I see, I think that's really it for the demo. I do see one question around multi-language support. For the most part, almost everything in Reflow can be customized. So for instance, things like the title of your equipment page and things like that, and that will get you most of the way there. Equipment types and devices, of course, are all able to be changed, but certain areas are specifically in English. For instance, group by type or group by floor. Last 8 hours, things like that aren't customizable. And we do plan on rolling out multi-language support, hopefully by the end of the year, but if not, right at the beginning of 23. Great. So with that, I will thank everyone for their time and turn it back over to Bob.
Excellent. Thanks, Adam. Every time I see both these demos, it's impressive work. So I invite everyone to participate in this next part. We're going to do question and answer. So feel free within the user interface on Zoom, you can actually ask a question, and yep. So I would encourage everyone to go ahead and do that. And I think we can start. Danielle, do you want to do the questions?
Sure. I actually think Adam was answering them as he was going along. Yeah. But I can go through these open questions and see if it's anything that we've missed. Adam, these are all for you, I believe. Does Reflow support PX graphics?
Yes. Yeah. So I demoed a few instances where you can import a PX graphic into Reflow, dashboards, custom pages, and equipment. graphics all support the ability to embed a PX graphic right inside of the Reflow page.
Perfect. And you might have shown this, but is it possible to build a custom central plant with boilers and pumps, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So a feature that we didn't look at is called equipment groups. And what you can do is you can take all of those various parts like boilers, pumps, sensors, etc., pull them in as separate devices with their own points, and then group them into a single system. And we've seen users use that for chilled water systems, hot water systems. We have an airport that's using it for jet fuel systems and pumping fuel between terminals. So it's a pretty comprehensive way to really pull all of your various types of equipment into a group and make them available on a single site. Now, on the graphics side of things, because that's so complex and custom, many times what users will do is they'll build out that system architecture with all of those pieces on a PX file, so they can show things like piping and stuff like that the way they need, and then they'll import that PX file right into Reflow on that group page.
Awesome. Another question, what can you tell me about point naming schemes in order to use Reflow?
Yeah, absolutely. So Reflow detects your devices. You sort of point Reflow at your devices and it will detect any control point under those devices. Then it uses what's called a points template to identify and assign points to groups and show common readable names to them. This is point name based, and you can import, we've got a whole specification for templates. You can import a CSV file of your points list and your templates get built for you automatically. It can be as simple as an exact match of a name like space temp, or it can be as complex as a regular expression where you're matching all sorts of crazy conditions. But we make that really easy. There's some videos in our documentation that go through the process. And there's also example CSV files that you can download and use as a guide to get started. But we've really tried to make that really, really easy. This sort of dovetails into the next question, Danielle, around, is there a specific format or any requirements for auto detecting devices by floor? Is it tag based or hierarchy based? So we wanted to hit the lowest common denominator for detecting points and devices, and that's why we chose point names. We know that tags are getting more and more powerful and more users are adopting them in their Niagara systems, but it still hasn't hit that critical mass where we could say that's the only way we support bringing in devices. So right now it's by point name. We do plan on releasing a build with tag support in the future. That's likely around, I would say, I want to say around 6 months out before you'll see a whole lot of features that focused on tagging. But it is in the roadmap.
Okay, does Reflow have any reporting or energy monitoring features?
Yeah, so Reflow really tries to be good at really good at one thing, and that's user experience and interactive visualization of data. So from the energy monitoring side, I would say, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing specific to energy. However, you can use our gauges, our floor plan tools, our history viewers, and our dashboarding system to build extremely advanced dashboards around energy monitoring. And we have customers doing that every day. As far as reporting, we don't really have a reporting solution built into Reflow. You could certainly build reports as custom pages and use them as dashboards. However, the step that isn't there is you wouldn't be able to email that out every week, or specifically email it out based on some criteria in Niagara. And right now we recommend that you use standard Niagara reporting to do that. But it's something that we may look to provide in the future. Nothing immediate planned though.
Thank you. We got a couple more rolling in. Let's see here. Can Reflow work on third-party Niagara controllers?
Yes. So Reflow is Niagara agnostic. It just needs to be Niagara 4. So if you've got any device with the Niagara 4 framework installed, 4.6 or later, Reflow will run on that. Now, I will add though that expect the same performance in Reflow as you would any other graphic. So if you're on a controller that's maybe underpowered or is super lightweight, expect the load time to be about the same as it would to load a complex PX graphic from that controller.
Does Reflow allow users to export or print CSV files or charts to PDF?
Yes, with Reflow, you can export a PNG or an SVG image of any chart that you have on screen, and you can also export a CSV file with all the data.
Sorry, Adam, these are all questions for you. How does Reflow deal with user categories and roles?
Great question. Great question. So Reflow is limited when we say it inherits the Niagara security model, meaning if users don't have access to specific points that you brought into a dashboard or a piece of equipment, those points cannot appear in Reflow. Same thing with overriding actions or access to actions or names on actions. All of that comes with Niagara. Reflow sits on top of Niagara. It's always working with Niagara and not instead of Niagara, if that makes sense. So that's really how Reflow works on the security side and the access side. In addition to that, Reflow has some concepts that aren't Niagara concepts, the idea of buildings, of dashboards, of custom pages. And the way Reflow handles that is called profiles. You can assign a Reflow profile to a user based on their role in Niagara or specifically to their username. And then when that user logs into Reflow, they're then limited by what you've set in that profile, whether it's making them start on a different start page than the landing page, whether it's giving them access to otherwise restricted content or restricting them maybe to a specific building. You're able to do all of that with our profile system and the configuration.
Thank you. Perfect. Now this is a question for Tom. Can you explain how OSS Easy API works with licensing? If you have just a small integration with a few points, can you buy a small license?
No problem. So with Easy API, we took the approach of just flat model licensing. So rather than having point breaks with a small license all the way up to massive licenses, we do a one-cost perpetual license either for a JACE or a supervisor. So what I would suggest, if you have a particularly small-scale integration that you're just going to do as a one-off, it is cheaper for you to deploy Easy API on a Niagara 4 controllers as a JACE or any of the other third parties, because the supervisor license is more expensive, but that is to reflect the capability of it.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more question and then we're going to wrap it up. I believe this is back to Adam. Can you embed Power BI reports or dashboards?
I haven't had any specific experience or know of any customers doing that from a specific example, but we do allow you to embed web pages in Reflow as well. In addition to PX files, you can embed any web URL. Of course, there are some security considerations there, and the web page you are embedding has to allow itself to be embedded, which is a developer thing. Yes, so if those are available on the web, you should be able to pull those into Reflow using our URL card or the URL page. And if you're using single sign-on in Niagara and the sign-on is shared with Power BI, the users won't even have to log in inside of that dashboard card or log into Power BI inside of the dashboard card or the web page if you've got single sign-on enabled.
Awesome. Actually, I am going to ask one additional question and then we're going to wrap it up. This just came in for Tom. Are there any restrictions on what information can be sent out by Easy API from a Niagara system?
So short answer to that is no restrictions. If you can get information on the Niagara wire sheet, then you can link it into one of the Easy API blocks and you can send it to a destination API. There's no no restrictions there. I've just seen a quick question come in from Mary. How does the OSS Easy API relate to the 4.12 HTTP client driver? There is no relation. The HTTP client driver is a Tridium offering, and it operates in slightly a different fashion, but ultimately they do seek to achieve the same thing. They're API clients.
Excellent. So thanks everyone for the questions, and Tom and Adam for going through that. Just going to wrap up here. First of all, I would say that any of the content you find on the marketplace, within the marketplace, you have the ability to communicate directly with the sellers through a communication feature. So if there's a piece of content you're interested in, have a question on, you can use the contact button on that piece of content, which will send an inquiry directly to the seller to ask questions. And then those questions are saved for you for future as well. Again, just a reminder, if you know of anyone that's not on our email list, I would encourage you to get them to sign up, or if you're not yourself, then you can sign up at Tridium.com. There's a Let's Connect box in the bottom of the homepage on Tridium.com. And we are sending out a monthly marketplace email, just letting people know the changes to the site. And even as well, if you have content to offer the community and you're interested in selling right from the NiagaraMarketplace.com, you can request a seller account. And if there's any questions, or if just want an overview from a seller's perspective, feel free to email Niagara Marketplace at Tridium.com and we can set that up. And on September 29th, we're planning another content spotlight with some new content from the marketplace. And of course, if you have not, please go to NiagaraMarketplace.com and log in or sign up for access. So with that, I'll thank everyone and we will end. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.